So I've remade the sign a bit. I got the guest instructions, and having read over the security, the parking situation, there's no way I'm going to carry a 4 foot by 3 foot sign. There's not going to be a photo bomb opportunity necessarily. However, there's a window of opportunity where I may be able to engage in conversation with people, and I made a smaller sign that's inconspicuous that will have no issue getting at least to the front door for the first hour there while waiting for the doors to open. Signs are allowed on the inside. But I made this one inconspicuous. It folds up. Trump faked it. 13 was a hoax. Just a couple of starting points. And I'm also on a list of questions or state or refutations. So if you have any ideas, for example, see, Trump faked it. That's a big one right there. Because a lot of people are going to be inclined to say it's an inside job. That's like, that's MSM orthodox, MSM plus. They're just like, yeah, obviously Joe Biden did it. Obviously. And by the way, did you see Joe Biden biting the baby? Like, what the hell is wrong with these people? And it's getting surreal because someone in our local Reddit had said that the Great Pumpkin is making a show in Albuquerque, and then I found out that Trump's going to be here on Halloween. And he's out there speaking in a garbage vest. He's in orange, and his face is oranger than his vest. So it's like it's this big pumpkin costume. It's really interesting. It can't be a coincidence. But I'm in the process here of making sure that I have statements to make to people who say something with regard to what I'm saying. Like, I am maintaining that there was no second shooter, obviously, because that's a misinformation line. But I'm going to ask people if they believe that it was real. That's my starting point. Do you think it was real? And we'll see. We'll sift from there. But again, it's a really kind of a small window of opportunity. This scene is really controlled compared to the last one. It's like by the airport. There's no parking at the location. So they have no parking there whatsoever. You have to bus in. So I'm going to be meeting the cinematographer at a other place, and we're just going to Uber in. But we both have tickets. So it's perfectly likely that we might actually stay and hang out and watch the thing. It might be funny. I mean, it's early in the morning. He won't be on the stage until 12, though. And so they want you there at 7. And I don't know if I want to stand around for 5 hours. I kind of don't. My intention is just to get some interviews, more like a survey. So it's not a debate. I'm not pitching anything. I'm not trying to change minds, but I'm doing something of a survey. We're seeing how deep the programming has saturated, but we'll see. There's a number of ways that this could play out, but my expectations are high security because we're so close to the finish line. I'm just lucky we have this chance. And then after, I have the pre-trial hearing remote regarding Goldfinch and Google, and every indication is neighbors, huskies, they're all howling. Yeah, the election stuff, I'm not really married to any candidate. Like, I'm not really participating, but I'm watching it very closely. And as far as, comedic value and everything, I mean, Trump is a great entertainer. And I don't think people would be paying attention if it wasn't entertaining, at least. And that's one thing to emphasize here, because we're looking at the PSYOP entertainment complex, and they have to be entertaining, no matter how they play out pre-scripted events. So there is a lot of room for what you could consider to be improv, and like the idea of Madison Square Garden, a comedian calls a group of people truck, takes out the trash like on TV. It's a spectacle that's highly interactive, so it's not completely set in stone. That's why the phrase alternate reality game is highly relevant here. But it's going to be early tomorrow morning, so I'm not going to be able to do any kind of live stream notifications because I'll be in an Uber on the other side of town. And so like I'm more focused on the footage that I'm getting, not my live stream. And I think people will be less inclined to have a live stream camera in their faces. I mean, I'm not really into that whole obnoxious live streamer thing. I mean, really, what's the point? Because the live stream footage won't be as good as what we're getting from the camera audio either. And the whole purpose of this is, for the most part, we're introducing onto the world stage in a place where it could possibly go somewhat viral in this area, the position that it was not an inside job, it wasn't a lone nut killer, but it's a third explanation that no one talks about, which is it's fake. And it is going to be it's not going to be well received, because if people thought it was fake, they wouldn't be going. And so I'm not going to be boxed in as like, oh, you're a Kamala person and you're thinking that he faked it to score points. And that's what the Kamala people will be saying. I don't know if there's going to be counter protesters. They may have chosen this specific location to make it very difficult to organize a counter protest, because you're not really able to get there without a shuttle or an Uber. So kind of a smart move on their part as far as not turning it into a circus. So I think it's going to be kind of boring, to be quite honest. I think it's going to be boring. However, I think I'm likely to get enough engagement within that hour or two, the first 2 hours. And I may actually end up live streaming the event itself. We'll see. I have to kind of play it by ear. But just a heads up, if you want to set your alarm, you can expect me to be likely live streaming between 7 a.m. and 9. And I really can't say for certain too much more because I know the area a little bit, and they're trying to minimize any kind of counter organization, which again is smart, and I guess they also owe the city some money. And one more point. I'm not interested in convincing anybody of the merits of my claim. I'm not even interested. I'm right. I have the facts. We know what we're talking about. I have plenty to back it up, but I'm not interested in convincing them. I just want to get their opinion on my opinion and see if they dig deeper. But I'm actually doing this for those who know it was a publicity stunt and how it entails even the Secret Service. Those who can see the big picture are the ones that I'm actually trying to reach with this video, because we need more media skeptics interacting with the world stage. We're not reporting their news. We're not regurgitating what they say. We're actually studying them. We are reporting on its, they're not really reporters or informers. They are conformers. So it's apolitical. It's actually, to me, this is more anthropological. We're kind of like, let's see what's in the heads of this team and then compare it to that team. And I know the answers we're going to get, and it shouldn't be this predictable. We shouldn't already know that people will assume negligence, intentional negligence, nefarious conspiracy by the other side with the second shooter. Like, that's pretty much the main thing. But no one's going to contest that it happened, even though Trump's ear didn't show any evidence of real wounding. And we have so many other points where if I want to refute, that's kind of what I'm writing down here. A list of the best refutations for the official version. And then if you can reject the official version, then the mainstream plus version, the MSM plus conspiracy version, is even on shakier grounds. But I want to have a list of 5 or 10 quick points. 7/13 is John Dee's birthday. Yeah, Caesar's, which is 7/12 or 7/13. Yeah, John Dee's a very interesting character. Someone I've been looking into lately is Eliphas Levi, whose ritual magic format is still the standard today. I've been looking into these different formats, and they all fall. And you see his design, his Baphomet has Levy on it, which I think might be a code in and of itself. But the guy was, I think he was like 42 when he wrote his treatise on magic. He was a political activist. It's a real history. John Dee and Edward Kelly have an interesting connection in history as well. And their incantations for summoning the angels were grafted onto the Golden Dawn system of Enochian magic, and the Satanic Church uses John Dee's keys, that's what they call them. Describe slide keys in kind of strange, the whole John Dee Edward Kelly thing. You know, John Dee, of course, 007. He was like a spy. Like you see images of him with his telescope, and you know they have all these connections. You know, with the astrology and the. In fact, I have a book on. I should probably down here. Just don't come off as a Fed. No one's going to mistake me for a Fed. Maybe a troll. I don't know. I don't think I look like a troll or a Fed. Like I'm not a clown. And a lot of people who are live streaming are mostly just clowning, trying to get clout by trolling the other side. And I'm not really trolling. Like I'm legitimately trying to get them on, some people on record to talk about what they think really happened. And they will challenge a statement like 713 was a hoax. And if they get mad, they get mad. That's the thing. People getting mad is good content. And I'm not attached enough to get mad one way or the other. And I'm not even suggesting this is not an anti-Trump thing, you know, because I have nothing but compliments as far as his performances. Like he is a great performer, and I look at this as performance. My basic outline is this: fake news is completely pervasive, as in it's the standard operating procedure. They lie strategically with uniformity on specific issues, these what we call psyops, but that one of my contentions is this is how they steer the population's collective worldview. And all this fake news, unchallenged in the aggregate, becomes history. So we've been following we've been living history that they make. They make history. And this isn't just semantics. This is like a literal truth, because what they're doing is they are controlling time, like the design authority in Megalopolis. That's what they represented, the design authority. They control time, you know, Chronos, Saturn. And you see all this Saturn stuff connected with it. It's because of this. And it's that Orwellian thing, who controls the present, controls the past, controls the future, and who controls the... But in order to do the fake news, Hollywood level performers, Hollywood actors involved specifically, but you need the best actors in the world and the best special effects in order to perform the psychological operations that will shape the collective world view. And I saw this post on Twitter, someone I like, and he was talking about Kubrick, focus on Stanley Kubrick. And like, what was he trying to tip us off about? I'm like, he wasn't trying to tip you off. Stanley Kubrick was not an anomaly. Stanley Kubrick is one of many metascriptors. And so I think there's a lot of focus on him as a form of misdirection. So we have to look at metascriptors. Kubrick, yep, accolades, you know, great job. You did JFK, you did 9/11, you did Apollo 11, but we got to look at Cameron, Alan Moore, Tom Clancy, the various video games, Jordan Peele, a big one right now. Obama and Michelle, Barack Obama and Michelle are metascriptors. Think about it. Leave the world behind. And I found some stuff in that movie. We talked about it frame by frame. But even before the movie came out, 10 years prior, there was something called American Blackout, which had a cameo by Obama, kind of foreshadowing his own future production. But they are in on the predictive programming business. I've seen part of Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, And you notice it begins with the two crosses rather, the keys that look, it's like there's a lot of double cross symbolism all around Tom Cruise. And Thomas means twin, by the way. You know, maybe somebody needs help. I don't know if they're honking their horn, like in one of these horror movies. Someone made me watch Terrifier. It's just another killer clown thing. Do real clowns get mad when they see themselves represented as violent serial killers? Unfortunately, you got people like John Gacy, you know, kind of bring that thing to life. The movie kind of is a mashup of some of the more, I think, memorable elements of Friday the 13th, and it takes from the Ed Gein story quite heavily. I don't recommend it. What's up, Chris's wife? I'm enjoying your channel. Thank you. Appreciate it very much. Well, look, Donald Trump is an actor, and World Wrestling Entertainment is fake, and he's in its Hall of Fame. So he's a Hall of Fame news faker, and this is a magic show. It really is. Magic has multiple levels to it, but at its most fundamental, a lot of it is really what we'd consider to be psychological warfare. And if you read Sun Tzu, Art of War, the best generals are the ones who conquer without drawing out their swords. And we're looking at a population who've been conquered through mind war. And Michael Aquinos from the Temple of Set, this is another connection here. Talk about the connections between Church of Satan, Thelema, Hollywood, the Mansons, the sexual revolution. There's like this nexus point. Well, Michael Aquinos was right there at the Church of Satan alongside Kenneth Anger. And again, Kenneth Anger movie with Marjorie Cameron, who did the Babylon working. And his movie was about her as the Whore of Babylon. I mean, it's very consistent. But Michael Aquinos went off to form the splinter group Temple of Set, and he published this PDF, I mean, this file, it's not that long, this article, called Mind Wars. And he said that the most sophisticated form of war in the future will be engaged through the culture as they phase out destructive weapons and they engage in pure psychological warfare. And I think we're already there. I think we can make the case that we are there. And I see it as good news, fundamentally. I mean, that's why I say resistance is futile. You can't organize the patients in an asylum and then take over the city. It's like the patients in the asylum can't take care of them. They don't know where they are. And the people who are in the controlled opposition position don't know where the hell they are because they're in a subset of the mainstream box. Look how lost the Q people were. Did you ever hear from them anymore? Where are the Q people with their predictions? They all just shut up all at once. They didn't just disappear. They just camouflaged it. It didn't come true. They got dragged into a psyop. I guess they're ashamed. Is there like a Q Anon Anonymous? Like a program they all went through? Oh, they're on Facebook now? See, I don't go to Facebook. I assume it's all bots. I should probably be following that. They've gone through several permutations. But I'm like, you guys are too late. Like, we got to save the children. 2015. 2020, where are the children? Oh, they're in the tunnels. It's 2024 up and they're voting Democrat. Like, you lost them already. You had your chance to save the children, and they don't talk about it anymore. Someone tried to sell me on Q. They said, oh, you don't support Q? Don't you want to save the children? And I'm like, yeah, I want to save the children, and that was like the end of the conversation. I was outgrouped because I'm not willing to save the children. Well, those children are grown-ups now because nobody saved any of them. What's up, P. Trippa? Just killing some time. These are my signs. I had to downsize it. I got the letter, the email, the instructions for attendees, and they said no signs in the venue. No selfie sticks. It's just no everything. But that's okay. I'm going to be on the outside. I might go on the inside if I'm not getting a lot of hate. But yeah, I'm going to go hang out at the Trump rally and start a conversation. But I made this sign because it's foldable, so I'm not going to freak out my Uber driver. It's very inconspicuous. I'll get into position. I have a camera person with me. And my point is just to do some field research. 713 was a hoax. And I might bring a couple other things. I don't know. I don't want to rely on graphics because I'm not trying to change minds. I'm mostly writing down a list of responses to questions I might get. You know, if somebody says, how do you know? You know, I could give them a list of things. I might even, I'm not sure if I'm even allowed to hand out business cards. Like, it's kind of locked down. But I know at a minimum, I'll have about a 1 hour window to engage people by the front door. And I have the camera person, and he said he's willing to go on the inside, but I'll have to ditch my sign. So this sign might not survive tomorrow. I will sacrifice it if I have to go inside. And I've been to one before, and this rally's not going to be crazy like the last one. It's earlier in the day, before the crazies are awake, and it's out of their reach, way out there, in the way south edge of town, where you have to take a shuttle. So I'm pretty sure they have it locked down. Yeah, I'm going to live stream. I'm going to live stream tomorrow morning. So what I might end up doing is this, because I have my cameraman who's going to record me holding a sign, talking to people, but I might live stream people walking by as I pitch them on a quick interview opportunity. Like, hey, do you care to comment on 713? Do you care to respond to this? And we'll see what happens. But yeah, I could put a QR code. The whole purpose of this is to go viral. So obviously, I'll be making sure that there's not going to be many people there live streaming. So I'm going to be at this Trump rally, live streaming, hashtags and everything. I mean, there will be the usuals. But on the outside, I don't know. So if people are searching, I want to make sure that I show up. So I'll put the right hashtags. And I think we'll get a lot of traffic from the live stream itself. Media Bear walked around outside a rally and talked to a shirt salesman. That's the guy that's an anti-mask activist who wears a mask. It's like, who's that guy with the mask on? Oh, he's the anti-mask guy, which is cool. I guess I understand it. One mask is to be anonymous and the other mask is to be safe. Speaking of anonymous, remember the 5th of November, Guy Fawkes mask, Ellen Moore, V for Vendetta came out in 2005, predicted 2020. So there's a predictive programming movie, and it has the face of the anonymous hacktivist group. The anonymous hacktivist group's face has been grafted onto Q with Q Anon. They've adopted that imagery. So you have November the 5th having special significance, predictive programming wise, and to the Q movement, given that the Q movement is indicated in the Batman when they bombed the election the night before on November the 5th. And then Gotham's flooded on the 6th. And this was reiterated in the Penguin series. They showed that scene again. And I was like, wait, this is the Q's army, as in the Riddler with all the question marks. Q's army, the QAnons, flooding the polls, flooding Gotham. So it's pretty well tied together. Oh, he had no mask at the rally. Cool. So we're talking about the same guy. And I'm all for, whatever people want to do. I had this take, though, on the whole, the mask thing, obviously. It annoyed a lot of people. But there was a point where the anti-positions had all been co-opted by controlled opposition who bought into the mainstream media view and then added their own little plot twists. So I thought, wow, they just took it out of the realm of skepticism and grafted it onto the GOP. It was just a mess. And then Trump comes out as a vax father, and none of them can figure it out. It's like, I thought he was your savior. I thought he was leading the white hats. And some said, well, some people have to die for the Great Awakening. Some of them actually had that attitude. But it's notable to point out how we witnessed the birth of a movement, its extremes, people worshiping JFK and showing up at his death site. Like this was a government engineered cult. And it was driven, I believe, largely by feds. We have indications that there's definitely that kind of involvement. And one of the most famous QAnon influencers is George News. The guy's got a White House press pass, and he's never been called out. It's like, don't you think the people at the White House want to know that they've got a QAnon terrorist in the press corps? Greg R says, "Happy Bat Appreciation Week." Didn't know that. Well, tomorrow's rally is going to be interesting. It's on Halloween. Strange day. I don't know if he's going to wear his pumpkin. I hope he does. But I don't think people will get mad. I think lefties are far more likely to get mad. Yeah, Tominoid, that's true. The Cyber Polygon event thing, that's not what it's called this time. But Cyber Polygon was the one that was canceled, and then it happened, quote, for real. This other event, which is in Atlanta, was scheduled for the 5th, 6th, and 7th, and then they just removed the 5th. And that's kind of conspicuous because they removed the date for Cyber Polygon being a drill, and then it became the real thing. So it kind of aligns in a way that perhaps that drill is going, quote, live. So there could be some kind of deal there. I kind of had my sights on November the 5th, though, simply because of the Batman thing. And the fact of it is Gotham's underwater on 116. And the 116 and 611 are of special significance to right-wing domestic violence extremists. And that number has such significance that they've been hyping up 611, because that's when Trump was shot. And 611 is McVeigh's death date. McVeigh's linked together in symbolic ways. It's a story. Might want, yeah, you know what? That's a good call. A mitigated mind. He says, "Aren't you anticipating assault? You have more faith in people than I do." Might want to comb my hair. I wear it to bed. In the day, I think I'll hear it and I'll dodge. But when I'm sleeping, I might not hear it, and it could crush my skull while I sleep. Eventually, we'll be suing NASA for mental anguish, like that family in Florida did. I don't see anybody getting so mad. I mean, lefties would. I don't have any sort of intention here of inciting. Like, I'm not a provocateur. Like, this is going to be a boring event, just fair warning. I expect it to be boring. But I'm hoping to have some conversation or some questions, some back and forth with people. Because what does it mean? What does it mean if you faked it? Or what does it mean if it was an inside job? Like, who does it involve? And if you follow the line of thinking, it leads somewhere. And I want to get to the point here. My point of it is, your system is built upon a manufactured worldview. We live in a news-bent reality. And this message obviously isn't for the people there. This message is obviously for the other news media deconstructionists and skeptics who aren't emotionally entangled. See, I'm not entangled. I'm not really a part of their system. Like I said, we're like aliens doing anthropology. And I think there's a lot of us. And those of us who have level heads are going to watch them go crazy with a dispassionate and objective viewpoint. Like, I'm not trying to win votes for Trump. I'm not trying to win votes for Kamala. And I'm not trying to discourage people from voting. But voting is an act of participation in the mind war itself. Estevan says, maybe they'll pull a stunt and blame you. Yeah, that's true. I could be open to something. They've been wanting to mischaracterize conspiracy theorists as dangerous for some time. The FBI has been. lately, like in the last week, that they experience issues from conspiracy theorists. And you got the chemtrail people going after the weathermen. That's new. And it's engineered. That's why another Victorville is you're in a honeypot and you're going to be blamed for some BS later because you're involved in the game. Now, I will be wearing my press pass, and I have a lot of these I need to ship out. The supplier unexpectedly stopped supplying them, so I had to find a new supplier, and I'm going with Staples. I'm getting them made locally this week. So if you want a press pass, these will be available very soon. I need to update everything anyway. Phone numbers. Yeah, it's an old number, old domain. I want to update it with the Insider. Okay, whatever you do, don't bring along a 12-foot ladder. Yeah, that's another thing too. The shooter didn't die. The shooter was not a patsy. This would also be another actor. He has an IMDb or something. Wasn't he in a BlackRock commercial? I mean, you find these little tidbits of information that form a pattern when you see how consistent it is. Like that other guy, the Joker shooter, the second shooter. He was on some TV show a year before. Like mainstream. So was it central casting? I mean, they're hiring people to play bits. Yeah, the name Crooks, Thomas Crooks. I think the significance of it is, well, I think largely the significance is how he's been described as an enigma. And he looks like the Riddler from the Batman movie. So we're talking about the same Batman movie with the Riddler, who looks like Bill Gates, but younger, looks like Thomas Crooks. And the media calls him an enigma. And then you find out that the Riddler's name is Enigma. The movie Batman ends, the Riddler is singing Ave Maria in his cell. And then at 6:11 p.m., 84 days after he was shot, they have a moment of silence in Butler, and they have someone sing that song, a male. Like that's like just integration between the Batman movie and the Trump scenario, similar to how Joker 2 was being filmed at the courthouse while he was in there. Like this overlapping of the fictional universe of mainstream media and the fictional universe of Gotham has been one of the better examples of predictive programming and how it's embedded in popular shows. Like these Christopher Nolan and Jonathan Nolan productions are just full of it. It's propaganda. It's not magic. We have to demystify it. It's not mystic, it's propaganda. It's advertising. Arthur C. Clarke said any sufficiently developed technology is indistinguishable from magic. That doesn't mean it is magic. And granted, it does look like magic. How do you explain all these connections? Well, you have to step back and recognize the common directorship or the common thread. And that's what we've been elucidating here. T-Dog says, Joker was a guest on a TV show within the movie. Yeah, good point. And Robert De Niro's still out there. Robert De Niro's still out there doing his whole Trump derangement syndrome. Yeah, I'm shooting a commercial for BlackRock. You know, if I had more time, I would get a BlackRock shirt. If they would get it. Maybe someone will let me squeeze the side of their MAGA hat to see if it's got a blood capsule behind the 45. Like, hey, let me just squeeze it and see if there's a squib in there. Or maybe there's a little pocket. Just the right size for a McDonald's ketchup. Little condiment. You just put it in there, you squeeze it first so it's got tension. And then you have a little needle and you poke it like Trump did, and then just squirt it out. You squib it out. I mean, for a little while there, I entertained the idea that all this predictive programming was leading to a more spectacular head wound thing, and this was just kind of like the best they could do. But now I can see that, no, this ear thing is very specific and it's separate. And we have found examples of, like that Batman Caped Crusader, I saw part of it on Amazon last night, the season finale has this Rupert Thorne Trump-esque character, mob boss guy, having his right ear cut by Batman's bat, his boomerang. Yeah, I could wear a bandage on my ear. And Tony Soprano had a bandage on his ear. You know, I think if I put a bandage on my ear, it would make a lot more sense to people watching and looking. So I think I'll do it. I'll have to get a little bit of cheesecloth. And they use really big bandages, but I might as well. So thank you. That's why I did this, though. I opened this up because I wanted to get suggestions. We've been talking about this for the last few days. So bandage on ear. The cameraman knows nothing of my intentions. But, so like, you know, because I don't want to scare anybody off. Because I'm not trying to incite anything. But the bandage on the ear, it's like a Halloween costume. I mean, it's just a little thing. I could probably get a bandage at the Halloween store. I could get some fake blood, you know, for Halloween. Smear to my cheek. Should I do the bandage on the ear? Like the two trails. That might be incendiary. But it's Halloween, I could get away with it. Yeah, go to Walgreens. Well, I have to run some errands anyway before we go to the live stream. Toward. No, I'm and an ear bandage. Wear at the scene. That wasn't even a consideration, but now that I think about it, and I'm trying to get engagement anyway. That might be the thing. I'll bring one just in case. I'll have to read the crowd. I'll have to see what the crowd is like, and if they're. I just get the feeling there's going to be a lot of Secret Service. But the ear bandage thing is kind of funny as far as like from a YouTube perspective. Like they might not think it's funny. However, the footage that shows on YouTube that people are watching, yeah, that might be the thing because we're trying to get clicks, and not that we're trying to convince people who are in the box, who are still outsourcing a great deal of their perception. Rather, we are aiming to reach those who've already figured some stuff out. But we'll be going live here in a few hours, if not sooner. I'm just making sure, like I'm trying to make sure I have a good parking space, that nothing go wrong. My Uber in advance. I have to get cash to pay my camera person. And I've arranged, I use Dropbox, so I'll be getting the files right after, so we're just going to split. Like, he might stay, I might stay, I'm not sure. If I decide, fine, and, I don't know. So I'll let you know tomorrow morning. You'll have to actually hit the notification bell if you haven't already, because it's highly unlikely that I'm going to send out a live stream notification. But I do plan to use Restream instead of YouTube, which will put it on Odyssey, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube. And I think it'd be important to get it on Twitter. If you follow me on X, it goes live there. Hopefully that will get it a lot of traffic because, of course, we're talking about a unique event and very few people are live streaming it. Yeah, the cameraman, someone I just hired, a professional. I think it's important to hire professionals who aren't involved in any of this. Because if that was my bar, who am I? I'm really small. It's like, no, not going to happen. Eventually, it'd be nice to have a crew. But I think it's so easy to find people, especially here. You know, there's a lot of movies being filmed here. Netflix has a studio here. And anytime I put an ad out for something like this, I get inundated with people. I have a documentary person who has a security company that's very interested in doing a documentary about Q, Goldfinch. And I said, I'll do it as soon as he gets publicly doxxed by the mainstream. happened as a byproduct of his involvement in the Hunter Biden trial. Definitely move forward with a documentary on the doxing of Q. The guy did internet security, so he's really interested in the subject itself. I don't know who's going to be there. You know, no way Musk will be there. I don't know if his whole family. I'm not really sure how big of an event it is. It seems like a last minute thing, and it's not in the convention center, which is great. The convention center is where they have 12-foot tall bronze statues of Walter White and Jesse Pinkman. They're like saints around here. But anyway, I will see you all likely later tonight, and then we'll have some updates for later.